It's Paul from Paul's Fishing Systems here. Just recently we headed out on a drone fishing expedition with Dennis Bradley and his mate Alan Digby. Alan was using a splash drone. We arrived at Glinks Gully on Northland's west coast at about 2.5 hours after high tide and headed well south to fish near Potu at the North Kaipara Head. Conditions on the day were far from perfect. There was a 2.5 metre swell, but it was coming through in bunches, so you'd have it breaking well out for about 20 minutes and then it would just go flat calm. The onshore wind prevented the waves from forming, so the white water was extensive. Both Alan and I limited our sets to 500 metres for the day, and we wound up having some pretty good catches. 500 metres is a long way offshore. If you look closely, you'll see the drone heading out, and then we zoom in to about 2 to 3 times zoom. And you can see that at 500 metres, with the naked eye, you really have to strain to see the drone. So it pays to keep an eye on it so that you know what's happening out at sea. Both Alan and I caught a big ocean going kahawai on our first set, and we made a decision that probably we weren't in the best place. We figured that because the beach was so flat, maybe it went shallow for a long way offshore, so we decided to move back up the beach.
We're just in big kahawai country.
Yeah. They're certainly decent size, aren't they? For our second attempt, we moved to about 17 or 18 kilometres south of Glinks Gully, and this was a much more productive place to fish. You'll note that we're setting the drones up fairly high, probably around 50 to 60 metres. That's to ensure that we keep the main line supported out of the water for the duration of the set, and that's because if you're in the surf zone, you wind up with it jerking quite badly if you allow the line to fall into the water. After hitting the hook release on the SplashDrone, the next thing to do is to hit the home button. And the beauty with all the drones is once you've hit that home button, you can pretty well forget about it. The drone flies back, comes over the launching area, then descends fairly quickly to about 10 metres, then slows down, does a nice soft landing exactly where it took off from. While the drone is returning, I normally wind up any slack that's on the fishing line after the weight's been dropped, make sure that the sinker is bedded well into the sand, and I just like to keep a fair bit of tension on there, generally about half to a kilo of force. After casting at the new spot, Alan only left the line out for about 5 minutes, noticed he was getting some pretty good bites, wound it in and wound up catching 2 pretty good snapper on it. Nothing wrong with that.
The real fish.
They're reasonable fish, aren't they?
Yeah, they're okay.
So there you go. 2 traces, one with floats, one without. Set was only about 10 minutes. 2 minutes out, 2 minutes back for the drone, and it's all done. Dead easy.
Yeah, if you eke them and ice them straight away, much better eating, but they keep a heap longer. There's an inky gun. To load it, small fish you pull it to 1 notch or up to 2. Behind the eye, missed it. No, I didn't get it. Another go.
If you leave your fish to die naturally, the lactic acid builds up in the flesh as they slowly suffocate, and that deteriorates the condition of the flesh. Ekeing prevents that whole process happening and gives you the highest quality fillets at the end of the day.
Got him.
Got a bit of a load on here. Nice bit of weight to pull me down the beach a bit.
Alan's got an electric reel on his rod, and he's got a 12 volt 12 amp hour lithium battery in his shoulder pack, and this is truly the bee's knees for winding line in from a long way offshore.
See anything? Still can't see anything. Wow.
Well, back in the mine, eh?
Here it is. That's a nice fish.
Alan's certainly well kitted out. The value of the whole rig that he's using today, including the rod, reel, the SwellPro, all the line, hook sections, everything, is around $4.5 grand. So it's not cheap, but it's really good gear.
Nice setup, SwellPro, Shimano Forcemaster, nice fish, good day. We did 2 sets, first one set for 10 minutes, 2 fish, second one 500 metres, mullet bait, nice fish. 4 fish for the day in total, nice kahawai to boot.
If you're interested in drone fishing and need expert advice, contact us through www.fishingtacklesale.co.nz. We also hold public demo days, so if you want to see drone fishing up close, subscribe to our newsletter at www.fishingtacklesale.co.nz and you'll receive notification of the time and place where we have our next demonstration. If you enjoyed the video, please like us and subscribe on YouTube to be notified when we post a new fishing video.